Well, welcome to the first session of Raise Belief, Not Money, from Pressure to Purpose. Before we talk about strategy and donor meetings and about making the ask to a donor, we have to deal with how we think about money. If you're like me, you didn't get into ministry because you love fundraising. You got into ministry because you love seeing lives change. Then the reality hits: budgets, payroll, buildings, scholarships, shortfalls, and somewhere along the way, ministry starts to feel like pressure. In fact, one of the things that I began to realize when I was in seminary, I was so thankful that I was going through seminary while I was pastoring my church, is that seminary did not prepare me for the business side of ministry. But there is a business side. Someone has to pay the bills. Someone has to take care of things. Somebody has to raise money to fix the things that break. And all of a sudden, there was this pressure that came on you that was completely different. I was excited about the pressure of ministry, but I wasn't so sure about the pressure of everything else that it took to actually accomplish the ministry. So maybe that's you. You don't like talking about money. In fact, most pastors, this is one number one issue that they deal with within their churches in the first place. They don't even like to ask from the pulpit for money, even though the Bible talks quite a bit about money. They we avoid donor conversations. It's almost as if we're intimidated by the fact that they are more successful or that they have more to offer than we do, and we're like, for whatever reason, have a hard time having conversations about getting other people involved. We don't like budget meetings. They feel heavy, especially if you're not hitting your budgeted goals and you're constantly wondering if there's enough. It feels like year after year after year we're having the exact same conversations over and over again. Well, I've been a pastor and I've been a nonprofit leader and I've sat in a lot of your seats as major donor officers, and I've helped raise millions of dollars. And here's the thing that I've learned: the issue isn't money. Let me repeat that again. The issue isn't money. In fact, statistics tell us there is more than enough money. If every Christian American gave 10% of their income, we would have no issues with money in nonprofits whatsoever. The truth is, it's just a mindset. It's a mindset that has to change, because if it doesn't change, we're always going to be intimidated by the idea of money. See, fundraising isn't about raising money, it's about raising belief. See, this is what I mean by that. Yes, I understand that we need money, but people do not give because you need money. People give because they believe in what you are doing. They believe in a cause. They believe in the value of what their money is going to provide. They believe in the value of what their money that God has given them is going to provide. See, they believe God is working, and they believe that lives are being changed, and they believe that leadership is trustworthy. See, they believe their gift matters. And what we need to understand is that money follows beliefs. So there's three messages that I think are extremely important. And most ministries, unfortunately, within those messages are sending the wrong signals. Message number one is the need. The need. I see this all the time, especially in the nonprofit world that I'm in right now. Overseas, it's like we have these ministries that constantly have what I would call pressure needs. We need money. We need money right now. If we don't get the money right now, then our roof is going to cave in. If we don't get the money right now, then we're not going to make it through the year. We create this sense of urgency that puts us in a position in which we um, make people believe that if they don't give their money now, then we might actually die. That's extreme. but sometimes that's the way it feels. We need money, or we're behind on our money. We have expenses. If you don't help us now, we're in trouble. See, need creates pressure, and then pressure creates guilt, and then guilt doesn't build generosity. You might get one or two, maybe three gifts, but our goal is, as those who love the ministry that we're a part of, that we bring in partners that want to be with us for years and years and years to come. And guilt's just not the way to do that. The second message is a cause. And cause is the answer to the why. Why do we need money? We need $50,000. Well, why do you need $50,000? Well, maybe you need $50,000 because that $50,000 will provide 300 students with an opportunity to hear the gospel. Instead of saying, I need $50,000, maybe what we should be saying is, would you be willing to help us hit our goal of $50,000 so that we can reach 300 young people for the cause of Christ? Or our roof is leaking. It's an urgency. If you don't give us $50,000 now, then we won't have a building anymore. Instead, we should be saying things like, we're creating a space where people encounter Jesus. Understand something. People don't fund bad stewardship. They fund impact. One of the things I began realizing here as I begin to get more and more involved with our board, they don't understand why we don't plan for the emergency expenses. Why is it that every time there's an emergency, we have to ask somebody for money? Being good stewards means we're prepared for those things. But when we're constantly behind, or we're constantly feeling pressure, it's almost like we never get out of the emergency mode, and we never get to a place where we have good cash flow. We never get to a place where we feel like there isn't that pressure. It's important that we help people to understand the value in the cause. The third message is the calling. It's the invitation. Instead of please give, please give, please give now. Please give, it's an emergency. Please give, or else we're not going to survive the end of the summer. The message should be, would you consider joining us? It's not a rescuing a ministry, it's joining in a mission. We want to be a part of what is taking place. The ministry that I'm a part of at Word of Life, our vision statement is every young person taking their next steps with Jesus. Well, that could be a first step. So maybe it's inviting people to help get those people to, so that we can get young people to their first step, or it's their next step. How are they growing in their relationship with God? It's helping them to see how they're a part of that, and then telling the stories of the impact that's taking place so they can see what God is doing with their money. So why does this matter? Well, think about how you give. Just take it for a moment and think about how you give. You don't give because someone needed money. You gave because you believed in it. Missionaries, for example, we have it's amazing watching missionaries raise money because they have a support group around them. Their families, their friends, their connections, and they'll go to other churches. And the reason why people get excited about supporting missionaries because there's a cause that people believe in. You probably support a missionary. Maybe you even support one of the Compassion Children or World Vision Children. You believed in the cause. You trust it. You see it's working. You get these letters back. You get these communications back, and you want to be a part of it. See, understand something. The same reasons as to why you give are the same reasons as why donors give. Just because they may be giving tens of thousands of more dollars than you're giving doesn't mean that the value is any different to them. In fact, they need to be good stewards with God's resources just as much as you need to be a good steward with God's resource. So here's the belief equation. Belief equals trust. Trust equals generosity, and generosity equals impact. Impact equals more belief. That's the cycle. It's not pressure, it's not guilt, it's not manipulation, it's belief. And in fact, one of the things we talk about with our major gift officers all the time is we ask them to wait for the opportunity of the donor or the person they're going to meet with to invite them into a conversation about the next steps and how they can use their resources. We don't pressure them into that because what we understand is that in order for us to have a long term relationship with them, we want them to invest on what they are passionate about. We need to get to know them. We need to get to know who they are. We need to get to know what their passions are. And in fact, maybe their passions aren't aligned with us at all. And if we truly care about that person and the resources that God has given them, then we will help them to use their resources where they feel God wants them to use those resources. And it may not be us. And that is okay. That's not our job. Our job is to create a place where there's no pressure, there's no guilt, there's no manipulation, that we care about them first. So here's a worksheet that I have that you have access to right there in front of you. And I would encourage you to fill out that worksheet. It asks some specific questions. And step number one is, how do I normally talk about money? Write it down. Be honest. Not what you wish you said, but what you actually say. Write it down because it's a great way for you to learn about who you are and the things that ultimately we fear and the things that we need to get over. Probably some of the things that you're thinking about right now are things like, well, we need money, we're behind, please help, giving is down. Step number two is now write those statements as a move from need to move to cause. So, what's changing? Why does it matter? What's the bigger mission? See, these are important questions to ask because we need to get down to the bare roots of why people should give to us. You know, well, one of the things we're talking about within our ministry is moving people away from projects and getting them to a place where they will use their funds to to an area that is most important. For example, give where most needed. It's been awesome to see where about 80%, maybe 85% of our donors are now moving into that direction where they're trusting us so much they're just giving it to Word of Life, not a specific project, because they know that Word of Life is going to invest in the greatest cause. They love the cause of Word of Life. But many times we get caught into projects because projects bring in money really quick. But projects go away. And those people still have the resources. So how do we invite them to give those resources into what our true need is, not just the project? Step number three is let's move from the cause to the calling. All right. Ask how can someone step into this? Finish this statement. Our cause is fill in the blank. Or our invitation is fill in the blank. When someone participates, this is what they're going to be investing in. So here's some examples I want you to just kind of think through. Instead of us asking, we need $25,000 for scholarships, why don't we say something and understand something? We may need to put in there, our goal is $25,000 someplace. We need $25,000 to reach however many students, or it's the total project cost is going to be $25,000. I'm not saying we can't have the $25,000, but it cannot be the most important piece within there. Maybe we should say things like, students hear the gospel at camp. Many couldn't come without your help. Your generosity gives them the opportunity. You fill in the blank. See, notice it's less about money and more about the mission. We want people and we want to invite people into the mission. So here's some reflection things. Where am I leading from need instead of purpose? Where am I leading from need instead of purpose? And what would you change if I saw fundraising as inviting people into ministry? What would change if I saw fundraising as inviting people into ministry? I just want you to sit with that for a moment. How would your life change if people came to you and were inviting people into their ministry? So here's my closing thoughts. Number one, fundraising isn't convincing. Fundraising, number one, fundraising isn't convincing. It's helping people believe, because when belief grows, trust grows. And then when trust grows, generosity grows. And then when generosity grows, ministry moves forward. A couple of years ago, we decided to do an annual fund and focus all of our attention on that annual fund instead of projects. We've done capital campaigns, capital projects for the last 10 years, and it's been incredible to see how God's people have provided for that. But this was going to be a big step for us because this is unrestricted funds. This goes to potential scholarships or to help us to offset some of our gaps that we may have, and basically it's inviting people just to get and invest into Word of Life. Well, normally we were raising just around $4 million for annual fund unrestricted gifts, and our president and CEO came to us and said, "Hey, I'd like to increase that to 5.4 million." After doing all the research and going through all of our donors and all the things that were involved, I came back and said, "Well, I feel comfortable with about 4.2 million. I'm not sure we can hit that 5.4 million mark that you're asking." And he said, "Well, that's what we're going to need." So we made that our goal, and it looked like about halfway through the year we weren't going to hit that goal. But when we get to the end of the year, we were at 6.4 million, almost a million more than our previous goal. It just kind of blew me out of the water. What we talked about all year was people. We didn't talk about anything else. We talked about the lives that were being impacted because of the gifts of the things that were coming in. What we were doing was we were raising belief, not money. We weren't talking about money. We were talking about the ministry. We're talking about that thing that God was calling us to. And this last year, we saw more lives come to a saving knowledge of Jesus Christ than we've ever seen. This is why this is so important. This is why I believe this is so important. Our goal here has to be to raise belief, not money. In our next session, we'll build a cause people actually want to fund. Our goal is to kind of come alongside you and help you to build that cause that people actually want to fund. Because if people don't understand it, just like we talked about earlier today, they won't believe it. Until next time, I look forward to seeing you and being encouraged by what God is doing, and love for you to just leave me a note. Tell me what you think. And my goal here is to help you to reach more people so that you can steward those that God is bringing into your service so that you guys are making a difference, whether it's your community, whether it's in a county, whether it's in the United States, or whether it's global. Our goal is the same. It is to help you be a better steward with the resources that God wants to provide for you. Till next time, this is Chip Nightingale. Hope you have a great day. Bye.